I'll take you through some of the things we want to do on Dublin experience, customer experience. The experience a passenger has going through Dublin. I'll talk about the security piece, time and motion studies. If I can, just on the competition piece, I fully agree Ireland needs a broader national aviation policy. We absolutely need to have that, and that should cover Dublin, that should cover the regions, that should cover regulation, who's involved, that should cover growth, sustainability, all those key things. So I think everybody should want that, so that we can stand back and say, what type of aviation do we want? We're great at it. We have great airlines, we have great airports, we have a great heritage, we have an incredible role in the leasing industry in the world, and everybody should really, really proud. Irish absolutely lead. If you go out to our Middle Eastern business partners, they say, well, the Irish are the best at this in the world. So I think that's great, and we should have to have a national aviation policy here on the island itself. Speaking as the DAA, and also having worked on the airline side, I think the competition piece, competition is great, competition's needed. I think there is, and the competition really is within the regions. So I'm from Cork, I'm down in Cork Airport, I've used Shannon Airport a lot, and I would have in the past. The competition is between Cork, Shannon, Knock and Kerry, the regional airports, and they've always been competing, and it's a good, healthy competition. Dublin's competition is the big international hubs. So from an airline point of view, you don't look at a route and say, right, we've got Dublin Lanzarote, are we going to move it to Cork Lanzarote or Shannon Lanzarote? You'll add those routes if it makes sense. You'll get the load factor and you'll make the right economic return that you want on them. So airlines don't look at it and say, we can put this route in Dublin or we can put it in other places. They look at a good bit of healthy competition between Cork, Shannon, Kerry, Knock, and they'll do what they do as airlines. That's a question for them. So I think competition is a good thing. You want healthy competition. It's at a regional level as the airlines look at it, and then it's Dublin versus the big international hubs.
Do you not accept with Dublin as the parent of Cork that it gives Cork an unfair advantage in that mix?
I don't think it does. Cork's.
I wouldn't expect you to, but
no, Cork's very different. Cork's very different, and it's competing with Shannon, and it's part of the regional. It's part of the regional program. Look, it's a great southern. Wanted to come to Dublin, and we think Dublin is competing with other international hubs. Cork as a regional airport, Shannon as a regional airport.
But I'm not talking about hub. I'm talking about where it's just a technical stop, where it's just landing for refueling. Do you think there's any need for that to be going through Dublin?
I'm going to ask Vincent to cover that one and touch on cargo and capacity when we come back. But broadly speaking, from all of Ireland point of view, Dublin's competing with the international hubs, the regional airports, and they're all important, are competing with each other, and both competitions exist. If I can touch on Dublin Airport, and then Vincent will take that other part. Look, things need to improve. I look at T1 and T2. I will go up there every morning and see how the first wave is going. I can't think of a European airport that I haven't gone through, and I'd have loads of views on what do I think works well and what doesn't work well. T1, it's an old building. It's a building where that's where the Ryanair flights go out of. It gets very, very narrow in parts. I know what the key things that need to work at an airport are, which you can park, you can get through fairly quickly, you get through security quickly. I don't want it to be an anxious moment when you come into T1 and go, I can't see security, how is it going to be? Is there a big group of people coming back? We want you to get through security in 20 minutes or less. We then want you to be able to walk to the pier, get everything you're looking for, clean toilets, everything that works. We want clean terminals. We will do a bit of decluttering because, I mean, if you flew from T1 or T2 today, it would be a great experience at this time of day. If you're going on Good Friday morning on an early morning flight to Lanzarote, it's a totally different thing. So it's setting ourselves up for those big 20 outbound days that are cup final days for us, that we're absolutely at our best. And look, it's the constant grind then of cleaning, staffing and security, staffing everywhere so that it's a really, really efficient operation, making sure that the right food and beverage options are there for our customers. We want to add more seats in T1 because on those big mornings, like Good Friday, we need them. And there's plenty of things that we want to look at in T2 as well. Specifically on security that you mentioned, we're always doing time and motion studies to say what's the best way to do it. As I said, I've gone through nearly every European airport, and you see security done well and done in different ways. you have to constantly look and say, well, what's the new technology that helps? So the C3 scanners are good because you have to take less stuff out of your bag, and that just takes a bit of the stress away. They actually require more staff from our point of view, and the footprint that they require is slightly different. The automatic tray return that you mentioned, that's another good thing that just helps the process, that you're just sticking it there and it automatically comes back. Staffing levels, what the staff say to you as you're doing what we call divestment, which is taking out what you need out of the bags until we have the C3 scanners. The supervisor role that we've added in this past year. So, you know, our most experienced security people who've worked the lanes, who know what good looks like, they're the ones who kind of just marshal the whole process through. And it really is about that really early morning peak that we want to get right, and having that visibility of leadership there. And they're great people, and they do an important role. So we're always looking at other airports and what's the best way to do it. In some ways, T2, it's easier to do things because it's got more space, and you know, more of the traffic goes through T1, and we want the two products not to be totally dissimilar, because there's a lot of passengers will use both terminals in a given year, so we do want them aligned. And look, like anything, then it's into the constant grind of how do you make sure that every single day it's where you want it to be in terms of standards, in terms of staffing. You'll have bad days, and we will have bad days. We will have bad days next summer. Every airline will have bad days, and then it's about how quickly you can recover and improve that. So we look at the right technology to say what's the stuff that you invest in, so that you ultimately make it a better process within the infrastructure that we have, and what we're able to do.